images shot with one Lensbaby product. Today we should say at least one Lensbaby product, because while all of your images are shot with the Edge 50, you're also layering on OMNI using our Composer Pro 2 OMNI Adapter. You've got layers and layers and layers going on here. Even one layer for you is always genius. So I'm looking forward to hearing the story behind these images.
I'm excited. I always look for color, and my immediate go-to are basically anything from the color pack. I love the color crystals. I love the quilted color films. Those are my favorite go-tos. Anything that'll draw light into the camera.
Tell us a little bit about your approach to special effects photography.
I am a portrait photographer. That's my main thing. And like I said, I love colors. So anytime that I see like a color wall or colored lights, like that's what I'm immediately drawn to. Whether it's a shirt that I tell the client to put on to go with that particular color wall, that's what I look for whenever I try and build that particular photo. I love the colored crystal. That's my one that just stays in my pocket. No matter what situation you're in, you're going to always get a unique photo because the lighting is going to change every shot. No photo is going to be the exact same with any of these.
Talk to me about your personal work, because I think the images we're going to be looking at here aren't portraiture. And I want to know what kind of work you do for fun, because I think that's what we're looking at here.
I love to travel, and as you stated previously, my go-to lens is the Edge 50. I bought that and it has never left my bag. It's my favorite go-to. I love the tilt shift. I love everything about it. And whenever I travel, being able to make the miniature effect or focus in on one particular object or person, that's what I'm drawn to. The three images that we have, two of them have people in it. One of them is a flower. The people shot, I wanted to have the viewer be drawn into those people. And so whenever I was focusing, that's what my subject was. So I want the viewer to be pulled into what I was seeing at that moment.
You're seeing something that you can't actually see with your eyes. You're saying, what could I do with this? That's what I'm seeing. Stephanie's working this scene in a way that you're seeing it with your imagination. Let's go ahead and jump in here. And I just want to say these three images are so diverse and different than what I usually see you posting on social media that I'm excited to get into it. First, this is a setup. You were one of the beta testers, so this is a prototype version of it, but you've got the OMNI filter on the front of your Composer Pro 2. That's the Composer Pro 2 OMNI Adapter. And you have wands from the color pack. This is the color crystal that you talked about. One of the quilted color films from the color pack that gives both reflections and a color wash when you're looking through it that's different color than the reflection. So there's a lot of aspects there. Talk to me about this setup.
That is my go-to setup. Like no matter what, those two never leave my bag. I love the orange, pink, blue shift in that color film. And then having the faceted quilted part brings in like really cool bokeh whenever it's like in direct light. And so I prefer that over the regular film. And then, like I said, with the crystal, you're never going to have the same shot because if you twist it, if you move it in front at like a different angle, it's always going to be different. You're going to always have color no matter what. So if you don't have like direct light coming in, if you have like a shadow, you can still put that little crystal spot and it's going to give you color. That was what I was immediately drawn to as soon as I put that on my camera when I first got it. That's the setup that I go to. I love it.
I want to ask you about the OMNI Adapter for Composer Pro 2, because since your go-to lens didn't have a way to mount the OMNI filters, and you were one of the very first people to get your hands on this, tell me about that experience. How has that opened things up for you?
So I only have two hands. And this gives me four because everything with Lensbaby is manual focus. You have to hold the camera and then you have to manually focus it. But with the OMNI adapter, being able to position the crystals, I can turn it and then refocus, and it's still giving me some kind of like element of color or whatever. And then if I turn it back, I still have that same crystal and setup, but it gives me something completely different. And so being able to leave it there, focus, find what I'm focusing on, it gives me extra hands.
It's almost like the OMNI was built specifically for this, but it hasn't been available for the optic swap system since it came out. And here we go, finally coming out in a way that
Exactly.
that transforms the whole system and marries our two sides of our company. Tell me about this image. What was the story? What did you see that intrigued you, that made you get down and photograph these?
So I love sunflowers. I don't know if you would categorize those as sunflowers or wildflowers, but I have them all strewn throughout my backyard. And
Mm.
it's just every time I look out there, I'm like, I have to go out and take pictures of this, whether it's like the sunflowers or even just like the little blades of grass with water droplets on it. It's so refreshing. And these just came out. So I had to go get them before they died. But this setup was the exact setup that you just saw. The quilted film I gravitate towards for creating kind of like double exposures and film leaks with like seeing the old photos and seeing the randomness of the film leaks. I just love that effect. Being able to shoot with that film and put it over, as you can see on the right side of the photo,
Hmm.
how it kind of like leaks in, but you
Yeah.
don't know if that's like intentional or if that's random. See
This is
that
a
and like
single exposure.
this is a completely single exposure and it was done with the edge 50. So I was able to
Mm.
get that slice diagonally across to get both of the focus on those two flowers.
Those flowers are
So
at different distances from the camera, and so tilting the lens gave you that slice. Using the
yes,
quilted color pack film gave you the combination of that goldish orange, almost matches the flowers perfectly. It seems like there's a coolish aspect to the shadows as well that's happening.
I think that was a little
Yeah.
bit of the crystal as well. So like in the middle,
Okay.
right in front of that, the flower on the right, you can kind of see like a little bit of
Yep.
grass effect.
Yep.
I
Yep.
think that's a little bit of a like a refraction coming from the crystal,
Hmm.
creating that extra little bit of double exposure.
So just one effect of the tilt would be cool, of being able to
Yes.
get two flowers that it almost looks like a double exposure, because it seems obvious that they're at a different distance from the camera based on their size.
Mhm.
But then you've got the layering of the quilted film, bringing in some sort of, hard to get flare and the color effects that you're getting throughout. And then you've got the crystal, which almost looks like you have a little bit of the sky coming, almost looks like you're looking up through trees into the sky with just a very faint reflection there.
Yep. I love this picture so much. I just love color. If that hasn't been stated enough, I just love color. Uh,
If you were to shoot this again, what would you do different?
I think probably on this particular photo, that left corner side, everything else in the photo is kind of a little bit chaotic and it just tells a story, but that left corner, I feel like it's too real and too original. So I think I
Okay.
might try and add another little crystal or some kind of gel right there to continue the color across the photo.
I see that as well. It is more literal, and that's a
Yeah.
really great observation, that adding potentially a third effect in there in the corner,
Yes.
which you can do with the
That's
Omni, because
probably
yeah,
what I would do with that one. Like even if I added just like maybe like the seahorse or something to bring the color in a full circle, that would
sure,
probably be the
sure.
change I would make on that photo.
Okay, talk to me about this concert.
So this was the first time that I had ever used the OMNI adapter for the Composer Pro 2 at a concert. And actually, I think this is the first time I've ever used the Edge 50 as well. Shooting concerts is a little stressful for me. And so having to manually focus, that seemed kind of, I don't know, it seemed a little extra stressful, but I wanted to try it. You get stuff when you step out of the box. And this was the last concert that I shot. So I was like, why not? Let's try it. If it doesn't work, then nobody will see the photos. But it worked. And I think what I loved most about this photo is, like I said, with the Edge 50 being able to create that slice of focus and draw the eye into where I want the viewer to see, I was able to do that with the lead singer and then kind of with the piano player, but having the Omni on that left side create the effect that you can kind of feel the music coming from the photo. I just fell in love with the shot. It just feels like you're there at the concert with me. I
It
love it.
really does. It almost feels like this is the way a loud concert would look.
It's like you can just see it, man.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
and
it.
it's totally out of focus there, and the drums, and then right above the drums, the sign. is in
Mhm.
focus, and you've got the face but not the feet of the lead singer, and then the face of the keyboardist is also
Yes.
in sharp focus. You use the Omni to get the flare. This is a different kind of flare than you normally get, and you're so good at getting with the Edge 50. What was the wand that you used here?
I used the, and I actually have it sitting here so everybody can see it. I have the triangle flare one, and this one
Mhm.
is really good for drawing light across the photo to create that light flare, kind of like you're at a concert when the
Right,
beams come through.
right.
So
Yeah,
that's the
and
one that I used for that.
so you use the discontinued triangle flare wand to stretch that light and to get that blooming as you go out of focus, so that the in focus area, that flare is just a tiny little line, and then as it goes out of focus, it just blooms bigger and bigger. I love it. What would you do different if you were to reshoot this image?
Probably bring a different edge optic because I was standing so far away. I mean, I was able to get the whole band, but I think it'd be really cool to be able to focus in on one of the musicians. But like I said, this was the first time, so I only brought one. But if I did it again, I would definitely bring one that I can zoom in a little bit closer and test out.
Great. Well, I look forward to seeing that image too. To recap, we've got an edge optic, the Edge 50. You're tilted. It looks like you're tilted diagonal. I don't know if it's going to be up and to the right or down and to the left. The flare wand is giving you that extra flare. So you're layering the Omni effect over the optic effect, which is a slice of focus when it's tilted. It's awesome.
I think that I said this to somebody a long time ago that asked me how I found the slice. And I remember like when I first started testing it out, I told them just because you tilt it away doesn't mean you have to focus that way. Like you can tilt it down and focus it at a different way. Like so like you said, it could be tilted down and focused up or it could be focused up and focused right there. Like it's just that's the
Yep.
best thing about the Edge 50.
Yeah. And once you've tilted it, racking that focus, you can just see a slice of focus going through your image diagonally or side to side. That's probably the biggest tip for me that I can give on the slice, and I know that's something that you do as well.
Right.
But
And having
just to be
focus
able to
peaking on. And
focus
having
peaking
focus
works for
peaking.
you. I'm glad it doesn't work for me,
Oh,
uh,
okay.
but it works for most people. Maybe I do need it, but it's my old style. I just never got used to it. All right, next image, and talk to me.
So this was on a family vacation. This is my mother. I told her, "Don't move. I'm taking a picture of you." And she's like, "Okay." It's not like I was going to move anyways. So we were out on our family's lake, and this one was also done with the quilted colored gel as well as the teardrop color kind of in the bottom right hand side.
Okay.
As I stated previously, no matter what, if you have light, if you don't have light, you can see the color in those shadows up there. And it makes it look like a painting to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
This was shot with the Edge 50, so you can kind of see that the slice is going diagonally across. I got her in focus and everything else just fell off the image. And I just love that it like has it's not contrasting colors like but it's kind of contrasting color. Like the yellow just pops out against the red and the blue.
Mhm.
And so your eye is just drawn into there. And I think it works.
What kind of post-production did you do to this?
I straightened the horizon line.
Mhm.
That is a big pet peeve of mine. If it curves, I'm going to straighten it.
Yep.
I did bring out the color a little bit because I really wanted the yellow and the red to pop.
Is
Um,
that with saturation or
I
vibrance?
think so. A little bit of saturation, a little bit of vibrance. And then I think I added a sharpen, maybe a little bit of a sharpen,
Mhm,
just to
mhm.
make sure that,
Get
it pops.
get it to pop.
Yeah.
So real simple, and you're relying on the effect in camera, which is what Lensbaby is all about. So,
Mhm. And I think if you didn't have that color, it would just be kind of flat, in my opinion. It would still be a good photo, but I think the color and having those three elements across the
mhm,
shot
mhm,
really help bring it all together and make it
mhm.
cohesive.
Well, and for me, the dual horizon lines that you have with your mom, essentially, and her legs at that lower horizon line, plus the higher horizon line, similar distances from the edge of the frame, it just has a really good balance. And that little peak of sky that's coming through on the upper left makes it feel like it's glowing. There's something mysterious. There's some energy going on up there as well that we should be interested in. I'm curious about the line on the lower right-hand corner.
Maybe that might have been a reflection, because I am standing on a dock. That might have been a reflection from the dock.
It's mysterious,
Like,
whatever it is,
yeah,
because
the
yeah,
crystal. I don't know what it's going to grab.
I that's awesome. And that's what it can do, is it's pulling in focus things. While the crystal's completely out of focus, it's pulling in focus elements from elsewhere outside of your image usually, and
Mhm.
pulling them back in. So that could be what's going on.
The crystals could be pulling imagery from behind you or from the side of you, and you just don't know where it's coming from because of the refractions.
If you were to shoot this scene again, I imagine you might get the opportunity. What would you try differently?
Maybe shooting, maybe putting the seahorse on the bottom instead of the color crystal to make it look a little more like the sun is kind
Mm,
of reflecting off of the water rather than
mhm.
that little texture. But other than that, I don't think, I honestly don't think I would change anything.
Yeah, that's
I
that's
do. I
fair.
love it.
It's pretty
Yeah.
amazing. It's quite the visual tapestry you've got going on here. And to me, as you're talking about the seahorse, it has the scallops in the edge of the glass, and so not only does it facet and create a fractal type look to the image when you're looking through it, but those scallops capture flare, or it brings light in and points of light that wouldn't necessarily even be in the image in this scene, but the
Yep.
sun can grab those. So
And it
um,
kind of does that on the bottom with that light blue, but I
yep,
think it
yep.
might look kind of like I said with the sun, it kind of makes it look like a little bit more of a summer feel. Like if I was to have the clear ones faceted at the bottom.
I'm hearing a secondary favorite here, or a third favorite here in the seahorse, because you brought it up a couple times as something you might have added. So
I do. That's the other one that stays in my bag. Those
is it?
four that I've referenced are just that's we'll just call it my pack. That's my
Yeah.
favorite.
I appreciate you walking us through these beautiful images, Stephanie. Love hearing your process and what you might do different. Thanks for spending some time going over 3 photos shot with one Lensbaby product.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
You're welcome. Have a wonderful day.